Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and it's the first of the month, and can you believe it's the 1st of November? Where did this year go? I know we said every year, but where did the year go? Okay, the first of the month, for those who are not familiar with it, for me is actually Colour Combo Day. I launched Colour Combo. I've been doing this for about 4 years now, and I do it now in conjunction with the Makers Mixed Media Art and Artist Facebook group. I'll put a link to them in the description box. Lovely group of creative people. I think there's over 3,000 members of that group, and loving, supporting, caring, fabulous community of artists. Right, if you're not familiar with Colour Combo, literally I put a shout out probably about once a year, maybe a little longer than that, depends on how I'm doing, for friends, followers and subscribers to request colour combinations. They're allowed to request 3 different colours in one combination, and then those get added to a spreadsheet, and then every beginning of every month we do it. Now, so the colours for this month are Paynes Grey, Cobalt Blue and Sky Blue. That's this colour here. Now, what I would say is one of the things with Colour Combo is there are no finite rules. You don't have to have exactly these colours. I don't want people going out spending extra money. I would actually, I don't think you can do it with these colours, but I would actually encourage you to try and mix your own colours. So say one of these colours was orange, you've got red and yellow, mix it together and make orange. I really want to encourage you to try and make your own colours if you've got the basic colours there. These 3, get as close as you can. Sky blue, basically light blue. Cobalt blue, quite a vibrant blue. Paynes Grey is pretty much like, almost like a blue grey, and that depends on the brand, because goodness knows brands change slightly as you go along. So besides that, as I said, you're optional of using black, white, and I'm going to use copper, I think, for my metallic this time. Now, a metallic, I'm using the word metallic, but you could also swap that word with pearl. So if you don't have any metallics, but you've got a pearlized paint, you could use that instead. But remember, you don't have to use it all. Then the mark making element is a zigzag. Now I have got a couple of foam stamp and stencil designs that I've created that have something that could be a zigzag red within them, but I thought, you know, let's make a new one. So I'm not making a new one. So I just thought I'd make a mark making tool. Now, this was made probably about 8 o'clock this morning. I just got some card, I cut it into little sections, stuck it down with hot glue, not the prettiest thing in the world, and put a handle on the back. It's a mark making tool, people, and I've made that out of scrap card that was actually in a drawer. So I don't know how it's going to work because I've never used it. I like it. I like that idea, and that's how I come up with a lot of the designs I eventually make into a foam stamp design. Not sure this will become one. So let's just get started, shall we? Right, I am thinking I want to come in with the sky blue first, and I think I want to do the sky blue, if it comes out of the bottle, with a bit of white. So now I am very, very excited because this is my second time starting this video today, and there's a reason for that. I'm just going to use a plastic palette knife on this. There's a reason for that, and it's because I started filming and my front doorbell went. So, of course, I went down and answered it, and I was so excited. My order from PM Artist Studio arrived, 15 minutes ago, and in that order, I think I want a bit more white with that, in that order are my 3 new foam stamp designs for the month of November. So we're going to be using one of them in this, and I'm not going to show you the other 2, because they will form part of other videos, but you will see them probably within the first week. Right, that's a nice, pretty colour blue. I like that. Let's put that on here. So basically, for those who are unaware, I've just made a tint. Tint being you lighten, shade being you darken. So, and you don't always have to use black to darken make a shade. You could mute it down with its opposite color on the color wheel. So that will take it down a shade. Right, I'm looking to create a background. Literally just a background in this colour. I know I've got more than enough paint down here. And one of the reasons I do that is because my gel plate, because it's old, is slightly misshapen now, and I know I will always get white edges. So as long as I put extra paint down, I can usually come in and pick up the extra paint. There, that's a pleasant enough colour. That will probably not be seen very much in the finished article, but I like to at least make an attempt to get it right. So this will be my secondary one. It's not my aim to make 2 prints, but I always think if I'm using the paint, I might as well use a cleanup, which can then be developed further. Right, how are we looking on this side? Nice fingerprints there, Griffiths. That can go to one side. And I should imagine as we go along, I'll get to the point where I'll probably forget which print was supposed to be the primary print and which print will be supposed to be the clear-up print or clean-up. Now, this process here of me cleaning up as I go along will be something I will repeat through the video. I'm only leaving this in on this section so that you can see how it all magically gets cleaned up. Okay, from here on in, I am very likely to edit out anything that I deem as boring or mundane or just part of a cleanup process, as I said, because you don't need to see it all the time. I think I'm going to do the Paynes Grey next. So I'm not going to put a lot of it out because it could look like black and dominate. What I do want though is I want some on the plate that I can pick up in such a way that it gives interest. Now, let's get the first one in here. This is a technique I call kissing the plate. So basically I put it down and just touch it down. And what it does is, because I'm not pressing, it gives that sort of effect. And it's a lovely way to make things look just ever so slightly grungy. There you go. And as I've already done that, let's clean up with the secondary one. Now the secondary print is usually better than the first one because you've already picked up one layer of paint off here, but that's really nice. I like that. You can see now when I was saying about Paynes Grey being a sort of blue-grey, that's what I meant by blue-grey. So, and I'm back. So let's see where we're at. So this is our primary print. Now, if the paint gets too thick on my backgrounds, I will put a warm hairdryer on it just to dry it off. However, if I have a hairdryer anywhere near my gel plate, I would use it set on cool, not on hot. I don't want to put any sort of heat onto my gel plate because it may break it down. So we're here. Now I want to make sure. The trouble is that this blue and this blue don't feel like the same family, although they're blue. But I have no control over that. And I'm wondering whether I want to come in now. I do want to come in now. Right. I'm going to bring in a 5x7 stencil of mine. Now I do have this in a bigger size, but obviously the bigger the size of the stencil, the bigger the size of the pattern, and I don't want a big pattern. So this is a 5x7. It's called Shattered Surfboards, designed by yours truly. So I'm going to put it down and just gently roll over it. Now it's a brand new stencil. It's not got paint on it and it's a clean gel plate, so it should stick to it quite well. And I'm going to come in with, give a good shake, some of this cobalt blue. Now, this is quite a fluid type of paint. I mean, it's holding its shape as you can see it, but it is still, in my opinion, a softish paint. So I had to be careful that I don't force it down and have it go underneath the stencil. I'm also not looking for a perfect impression design, sorry. I'm looking for interest. I want interesting marks that are not just brush marks. So how much of it will be seen at the end of the day, nobody knows. Let's lift that off there. See, I just wanted something. Now this here will be a problem, so I just need to clean that off and we're fine. I'm going to come in again and I'm just going to touch down areas of that pattern and pick it up. And so just a little bit in the middle, maybe about there. See, I just wanted a hint of a little bit more by there, but I don't want that straight edge, so there you go, liking that. Now I'm going to sort of go off-piste with this now. With the cleanup one, I'm not going to bother with stencil. I'm going to just put some of this blue onto the spare one. Just clean up and build up. See, this will change character considerably as we go along, as you can imagine. So we're all cleaned up. Now we have the spare to one side, which is this one, and this is the one I'm working on. So now I just need to think about how do I want to develop this further. I've got the two colours in here that actually I've got all three colours in here, haven't I? I've got the Paynes Grey, I've got the Cobalt Blue, and I've got the Sky Blue. They're all present, and that's fine. I'm thinking I want to just put a little bit of white in here somewhere. Just a bit. I don't want it to go dark. So I'm just going to come in with a little bit of white. A little mess on the end of this. I don't know what it is about white paint. It's always the white paint that I end up with a problem with. So I'm just going to bray this out a bit. I don't mind if it turns slightly bluish. Then I'm just going to skip bits. Like just add little bits of interest here and there. No, I do want it in that direction. Right, maybe just a bit up there as well, and a bit there. Right, let's take that out of the way. Whoa. And let's bring in our spare. And this one we can do that a bit more on. And this one, to be honest, will probably go into my box of prints when it's done, where it's a box full of prints where basically they need finishing off. So I'm not liking this bit here. And it's no longer there. Oh, there's a thumbprint there that can go if I've got a chance to get rid of it. There you go, all gone. Right, that goes to one side. And I'm back, and they're dry. Now, looking at this print so far, I don't think I'll be using this colour again because it's a dominant colour and it's already in there. The Paynes Grey is in there, and if I'm going to use black, which I may do, the Paynes Grey could be mistaken for the black, so I'm going to leave that there. The one I'd like to reintroduce is the Sky Blue. Now, remember we added white to it originally, so I'm going to use it now in its original form, and I'm going to put some marks on here. I don't need a lot of it, but I do need some of it. And what I'm doing now may not even be seen that clearly. Now, I've only got it on my gel plate just to hold it down while I work, to be honest with you. And these areas where I brought the white in, one of the reasons I did that, so I need to move this over, I did that was so that this next stage will be more visible. And I'm going to use this, and it's called Plastic Canvas. I get it from my craft store. Well, I've had this one probably 10 years now. And I use it to put a small grid pattern onto stuff. Because see, that's a darker colour. It'll only be very fine, but it will be enough to be in the background. So I just press it a few times, and I'll come in, and I'll press it down. And what it will do, let's see if I lift this up for you. So you can see it will give a really fine mesh effect. And it's all about adding interest. That's all I'm trying to do here is I'm just going to add extra detail, extra interest to this. I'm just going to put it, as I said, roughly where I put the white. Although there are no rules, as I said, we're just having fun. That's what Colour Combo is about. When we first launched it, I did have a big internal debate, which I then had another debate when I started working with PM Artist Studio, because it was a natural thing to call it a challenge. And I was like, no, I don't want it to be a challenge. I want it to be a fun activity. The moment you put the word challenge into anything, all of a sudden it becomes a competition, and it puts people off. It puts me off. I would rather have an activity. So I'm just doing it on the spare one, obviously. I would rather have an activity where there's no expectation, there's no rules, there's no anything. I just want to play, and that's basically what I want to do with Colour Combo, and what I do with Colour Combo. I think that's enough of that. So I've had all the way along, I've had in mind that I'm going to do the ZigZag mark making in copper. So that's going to be my metallic. I'll show you the new stamp when we get to it, but I'm going to pull out one of my existing stamps, which is this one. This is Bubble Wrap Style 3. It's the smallest of the bubble wrap foam stamps. Any foam stamps I use, by the way, if you look in the description box below the video, so if you see the title of the video, there's usually one line of a sentence and the word more, M-O-R-E, in bold letters. Click that, it'll open up a box. Depending on the device, it'll either open up underneath your screen, it'll be a panel to the side, it might even open in an extra window, and in there you'll find all the details about stuff. If you go to about 2/3 the way down my description box, there's links to my foam stamps, and there's links to PM Artist Studio, which is where you'll find more details, and you can buy them if you wish. So the question is, what colour do I want? Let's just bring the print back. Now, I'd quite like, I think I'm going to go with black, because I'd quite like my new stamp to be done in Paynes Grey. Don't ask me why, don't know, I just have a feeling of it, and I think a little bit of this is going to be quite grungy. Now I press it down several times to load the stamp, and I'm pressing in the middle more than anything, because when you create a foam stamp with a laser, sometimes they get a bit convexed. So I'm just going to come in. Yes, this was a good idea. I'm not ignoring the center, because we know I love to ignore the center. Just catching the edges of some of this. I think that's enough of that on there. Let's swap over to the spare, or the backup, should I call it. Yes, a bit of a moment of indecision there, Griffiths. There. I do feel I want a little bit along there, a little bit along there, and I just like a little bit sneaking in up there. Right, that's the spare done. Right, guess what? It's time that I actually dried things now before I do the next bit. I just need to put this in water, because if you're using a foam stamp and you leave acrylic paint dry on it, it seals the foam stamp. Now, that may not be a problem if you only ever use foam stamps for acrylic paints. However, if you use your foam stamps for inks and it's sealed with an acrylic paint, it may not work correctly. So back into. So we're almost there, guys. Almost there. Right, now for my new launch. One of the 3 for this month. This is it. It's called Celtic Conundrum. And it's my play on almost a Celtic knot, but not. No pun intended in that sentence either. It's not a Celtic knot, but it was sort of a play on the idea. And it comes in 2 sizes. I haven't even had a chance to write the names on the back yet. So this is going on. I think, looking at this, if I do this in a colour that's anything other than the blue's going to look out of place. I think if I use these with that colour blue and then put the copper on, it'll work. So that's the plan. So, and I'm not going to go overboard with the stamping of them, even though I'm incredibly excited to use them. So again, I'm going to brayer my paint out. Now I don't want too thick of a coat of it over here because I don't want the paint going up and clogging into a foam stamp. So I'm just going to tap it gently. Always take a look. As you can see, the middle hasn't got paint. That's because I wasn't pressing in the middle. The moment I press in the middle, it gets loaded. So as I said, just beware of that. And I put it down. I press it in the middle again. I gently press around the edges. Don't hammer it. You don't need to. Oh, that's fabulous. That looks gorgeous. Again, just an even pressure. Now, you can obviously use inks with these. I tend to use acrylic paints a lot because it's part of my gel printing process. Yes, I do want one here. I want one about there. Right, this will have to go into water in a moment. Right, give this a quick brayer. I'll come in with the small one. See, with the small one, it doesn't happen as much. Let's link those almost together. I think that'll be enough. Okay, how many of you were shouting at me saying, Ceri, you've forgotten the spare? I turned the camera off and noticed the spare, so I did come in and do a bit of stamping on here to use the paint up. So we're down to the last bit now. Now, I've never used this before, obviously, because I only made it a few hours ago. So I kind of need to test it. Let's see if... Okay, I've got a sheet of labels here. I sometimes use spare labels as my brayer offs to clean up, and then I turn them into arty labels. So right, this is 355. It's a metallic, ooh, with a lot of stuff stuck to it. I think it's iridescent copper. Iridescent copper, good brain, Griffiths. Right, now I'm not sure how this is going to stamp, and when I do stamps that I make myself, I do not expect them to be perfect. I know they're going to have little bits missing. I know they're going to look a bit grungy, and that's the whole joy of making these. So I'm going to stamp it a few times. Not sure how much paint it's going to pick up on its first run through. So, okay, that's all right. I can deal with that. Yes, I don't mind that at all. Now, over time, as I use this, the paint will build up. And I'll get more and more of a thickening of the paint here. I wonder if I run a brayer over it, does it give me a different effect? It may do, actually. Might be a smoother look. Okay, it's not as solid as the other way. Maybe a combination of both. I'm just trying to stop this puckering happening. I think we're going to go for it. I quite like that. Bring in the actual stamp. So we've got everything on here. We will take a final look. I promise you, we'll take a final look before we be finished. Right. Now it says mark making is zigzag. It doesn't tell me how many of them I need. It doesn't say. I could just have one. It could be really small. I could have done this with a Posca pen and just drawn it in. Now what I am going to do, well, I've got this here, is I'm going to bring in a fresh cleanup sheet, lay it over the top and gently run my hand over it. And what that will do is it will pick up any big lumps of build up on here, so it'll flatten this down a bit. That just means that it's not so bulky. Okay, we'll come back and have a look in a moment. Let's get this one done. I'm trying to do this one slightly different to the other one, basically just so it's not as regimented. I mean, I'm doing this one on angles and the other one was done square on. So I'm just going to come in on all of the large ones. I'm just going to put that through. And maybe I'll do the small ones, will go in the opposite direction. Just playing around. This is a clean-up one, so I'm not overly concerned about this. Oh, I'd like it to stamp it. There you go. Right, again, I'm going to pick up this now. I have to be a bit careful because I've got that on the one side, so I want to make sure that I don't. If I put this piece of paper the other way up on here, what would have happened is it would have printed all this paint back onto it. There you go. Okay, liking that. Interesting. So last time I'm going to pause because I want to clear everything up so you can have a really good look at what we've achieved. And I'm back. For those of you wondering how I cleaned up the cardboard stamp, I basically just used a slightly damp cloth to wipe it off because obviously it's cardboard, I can't wash it. What I will do at some point now I've used it is I will give it a coating of maybe matte medium or clear gesso or something just to protect the cardboard a bit until such time as it falls to bits and I make another one. So let's take a look. Right, this is the cleanup one. Now, it's a bit of a debate which one I like better. This one I would really like if I hadn't have done that out of line with those two. You know, it happens, but you know what? If you turn it around, is it as noticeable? I don't know whether this is going to be journal cards. I don't know whether it's going to be a cover of a journal. Don't know whether it's just going to be cardboard that I cover a box in. So that is actually the cleanup. But this is a print that I intended to make. So, and that's got all of the colours in it. It said Paynes Grey. Paynes Grey is in there. We can see it. It's clearly visible. Cobalt blue, definitely got cobalt blue in here. Sky blue, well, basically the foundation is sky blue. Black, we did get black in here. White we've got in here. And obviously we did the iridescent copper as our metallic. So, hopefully enjoyed that, guys. It's going to be fun. So Celtic Conundrum will be in PM Artist Studios shop today. However, it might take me a couple of days to get it onto my own website because workloads are a little bit heavy at the moment. So this is Celtic Conundrum. There are another 2 stamps come out as well, and I'll introduce those to you during the course of November. So thanks for your patience, guys, and I will see you next time. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Goodbye now.